Before you scroll, before you decide this is just another story, pause for a second. Because what you're about to hear is about a choice made in silence, a kindness given without cameras, and a life changed forever because one man decided to listen instead of turning away. If stories about hope, second chances, and quiet miracles move you even a little, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps these stories reach the people who need them most. Now, let me tell you about the day a single mother returned her baby's essentials, and how a lonely CEO's decision rewrote both of their lives. The receipt shook in her hand as she stood at the customer service counter, its edges worn soft from being folded and unfolded too many times. Her baby slept against her chest, warm and unaware, wrapped in a blanket that had once been white. Maya hadn't planned to cry, but the tears came anyway, blurring the neat rows of numbers on the paper. A stroller, bottles, diapers, a small, pale blue baby monitor. All things she had bought a week ago, believing, hoping, her life was finally turning a corner. "I'd like to return these," she whispered, her voice barely strong enough to carry across the counter. The young clerk hesitated, glancing at the sleeping baby, then back at Maya's hollow eyes. Store policy required a manager for returns over a certain amount. So she made a call. What Maya didn't know was that the man who answered wasn't just a manager. Ethan Cross stood in his glass-walled office on the top floor, staring at a city that never seemed to notice him. At 38, he had everything people dreamed of: wealth, power, a company his name was etched into. Yet his evenings were spent alone in penthouses that echoed too loudly, and his mornings began with silence so deep it felt heavy. Success had cost him more than he ever admitted. His wife had left years ago, tired of competing with board meetings and investor calls. Children never came. Somewhere along the way, he had become very good at making decisions that benefited numbers, not people. "Sir," his assistant said over the intercom, "there's a return request downstairs. High value, customers, emotional." Ethan exhaled slowly. Normally, he would approve it without a second thought. But something about that pause, emotional, made him press the button. "I'll handle it." When he reached the counter, he saw her immediately. Maya looked younger than her age, exhaustion clinging to her like a second skin. The baby stirred, tiny fingers curling into the fabric of her shirt. Ethan had seen thousands of customers in his lifetime, but something in her posture, defeated yet still standing, stopped him cold. "Hi," he said gently. "I'm Ethan. I understand you want to return these." She nodded, unable to meet his eyes. "I'm sorry. I know it's a lot." "No need to apologize," he replied, though his gaze softened. "May I ask why?" The question was simple. The answer was not. Maya swallowed. "I thought I had a job. I start daycare next month. I thought we were going to be okay." Her voice broke. "But the offer fell through this morning." No explanation, just an email. She laughed bitterly. Funny how fast hope can disappear. Ethan felt something unfamiliar tighten in his chest. She continued, words spilling now, as if once the dam broke, there was no stopping it. "I used the last of my savings to buy these. I can't afford them anymore. Rent's due, formula's expensive, and I don't want to be the kind of mother who pretends everything is fine when it's not." The store noise faded around them. Ethan looked at the items on the counter, then at the baby's peaceful face. He thought of his empty apartment, his spotless nursery that never existed, his life of abundance, with nothing to pour it into. "Who's helping you?" he asked quietly. Maya shook her head. "It's just me. His father left when I was pregnant. My parents passed years ago." She took a shaky breath. "But I'll figure it out. I always do." Ethan had heard confidence before. This wasn't that. This was survival. He could have processed the return, issued the refund, walked away and forgotten her by dinner. Instead, he made a decision that would haunt him, in the best possible way. "Let's sit down for a moment," he said. Minutes later, they were in a small office near the floor. A cup of tea steamed between Maya's hands. Ethan had asked the clerk to pause the return. "I want to be clear," Maya said quickly, panic flashing in her eyes. "I'm not asking for charity." "I know," Ethan replied. "And I'm not offering pity." He leaned forward. "I built this company from nothing. I know what it's like to stand at the edge of losing everything. What I don't know is what it's like to do that while holding a child." Her eyes finally met his. "I'd like to pay for these items," he said. "Not as a donation, as a gift." She froze. "I can't accept that." "You can," he said softly. "And you will, because someday, when you're able, you'll do the same for someone else. Tears spilled freely now. Why? She whispered. Ethan didn't answer right away. Because the truth was, he didn't fully know. Maybe it was the baby. Maybe it was the ache of loneliness he had ignored for too long. Maybe it was the realization that all his success meant nothing if it never changed a life. Because sometimes, he finally said, the right decision isn't the profitable one. It's the human one. Maya left the store that day without returning a single item. She walked out lighter, though her problems were far from solved. But Ethan wasn't done. Over the following weeks, he checked in, carefully, respectfully. He connected her with a childcare program funded by his company's foundation. He helped her revise her resume, leveraging his network to secure interviews. Not as a savior, as a supporter. In Maya, she worked harder than anyone he had ever met. She landed a job, then another opportunity. Months passed. The baby learned to laugh, to crawl, to say his first word. Ethan, he said one afternoon, pointing at the phone during a video call. Ethan laughed, a sound that surprised even him. Somewhere along the way, his office stopped feeling so empty. He found himself leaving work earlier, not to escape responsibility, but to be present. He became part of their lives, not as a replacement, not as a rescuer, but as something steady. Years later, Maya stood on a small stage, accepting an award for a nonprofit she had founded to support single parents. Her son sat in the front row, waving proudly. She told the story that night. Not about money, not about success, but about kindness, about a day when she was ready to give up, and a stranger chose to listen. And Ethan, he sat in the back, unnoticed, tears in his eyes, finally understanding that the most powerful decisions aren't the ones that grow companies, but the ones that grow people. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that even one small decision can change a life, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. You never know who might be standing at their own counter right now, hoping someone will see them. Because sometimes, returning baby essentials isn't the end of a dream. Sometimes, it's the beginning of a miracle.